Welcome home, horror fans. My name's Adam.
And I'm Zoe.
And the rumour mill has been going off real hard lately.
It certainly has.
We have massive plot leaks for Saw 11 and 12.
And 12 is the crazy part. They're already thinking 2 movies in ahead. It's insane.
Yeah, we might as well give you the exact details here. And that Saw 11, as we mentioned, is going to be a prequel, another prequel. And then Saw 12 will finally be a Saw 3D sequel, which will apparently conclude Mark Hoffman's storyline.
The prequel that they're planning on doing, I would assume that it would be between Saw 2 and Saw 3. It does look like we are going to get a deeper look into Mark Hoffman's character and maybe his relationship between John Kramer and also Amanda Young, which I know that Amanda and Hoffman's relationship, for that small snippet we saw of them, was very interesting.
Very interesting.
They never touched on it again, and I would really like to see them interact a little bit more, and I think that a film centering around him and him as a jigsaw murderer and him as part of their little cult would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think that this idea of Saw 11 being the prequel that bridges the gap between Saw X and Saw 3D is really smart. This is probably the smartest thing that they could have gone with. Mm-hmm. And in a sense, getting this movie is probably more exciting. Saw 11 is probably more exciting than Saw 12. I know you want to jump ahead and you want to see Hoffman and you want to see the sequel.
But no, look, if Costas Mandela is going to be part of Saw 11, it doesn't matter.
That's the thing. Saw 11 has an opportunity now to show us more Hoffman in the prequel days and maybe more Amanda and maybe more Tobin Bell back as John Kramer.
I would assume that
we could get the whole band back together for this, especially now that it is back and it's made money and they know it's going to be a success. They can really put a bit more money in. They don't have to go crazy. A bit more money in, bring back the whole band, and who knows how many other characters they could be bringing back for Saw 11.
Yeah, no, we know that based on what the producers have said is they've already been contacted by actors who were in the Saw franchise at the time that they've moved back to.
Yeah.
They haven't specified who, but they've definitely expressed that actors who were in the Saw franchise at that time have been in contact with them and are very interested in returning. We're talking about the return of Storm, the return of Alison Carey, the return of Rick, the return of Eric Matthews. There is so many characters that they can bring back for one last hurrah.
That's right. Depending on exactly where in the timeline they want to place this, letting this build up in between a sequel to Saw 3D, they really can. And I think there's so many, I would love to see Eric Matthews back, I've got to say. Eric Matthews, I think, was a short-lived character. I mean, partially, as we know, Donnie Wahlberg didn't want to be
I think he had enough time in the films, but it would still be great to see him come back.
I think that he was a bit of a fan favourite in the end.
Yeah.
He was a bit crazy in Saw 2, old Eric Matthews, but I think he became a bit of a fan favourite.
Definitely.
But there are so many. I think that Dina Meyer, Agent Carey, didn't really get a good run. I think that she deserves more.
No, absolutely. She definitely didn't get a good run at all. And I would love to see her back again and more involved in the investigation because I just feel like she was there since the beginning, but her character was not big enough and did not have nearly as much exploration as they should have had for her.
Yeah, exactly. So opportunities now to just give us really as a
fan service film.
A fan service film.
And they are very good at that.
Yes, but it also still does work for a new audience because it's a sequel to Saw X. So the new fans have seen back from the start. They don't have to watch the entire 10 movies. They can just watch Saw X. They can watch a sequel now that bleeds on from that. But we're getting characters that all the old fans already know.
Yeah.
And we get to just see them as we know them, and all the new fans get to introduce them for the first time. And it just works. It just works so well for everybody.
It does.
So it's a very exciting movie.
Yep.
Doesn't really matter what Saw 11 is going to be about. It just sounds great no matter what.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I'm stoked for it. I was a bit unhappy, I guess, when I first saw the leak and was like, I just want to know what happens at the end of Saw 12. But I think Saw 11 and their plans for it are going to make Saw 12 and finding out what happens after Saw 3D so much better.
So much better. And I think
so much better.
Part of that is that Saw 11, I'm assuming, will be a pretty Hoffman-centric movie because...
Which is great because you start to think about Hoffman as a character. That dude has no emotion whatsoever. There's no depth. I need to know...
Well, don't you think he's quite complex as well, though, at the same time?
Yeah, but in a way that is so hard to put together that you need... It needs to be more on paper. The one thing that I love about Saw X, right, is getting that deeper look inside John's mind, having him think about the eyeball trap how he would place his victims in trap live while they're actually doing bad things. A deeper look inside Hoffman's mind would be so cool. Like, we know that the only emotional scenes he's ever had, really, is the when his sister dies and his first kidnapping. We need more of that. We need to know that he isn't just this brute, this killing machine, that there is more behind the mind.
I think that Hoffman is an interesting character just because he's so polarizing, he seems. People seem to love him or hate him. It's not like you're like, oh yeah, I could take or leave that character. Hoffman in Saw is like literally one of the most polarizing characters of any character in any horror movie. With the amount of especially commenters that have said that they love him or really hate him is kind of crazy. He's a point of contention. But I think that, you know, as you said, we've seen emotion from him when he was involved with John in one of the first kidnappings. He did cry. A lot of people don't notice that he shed tears when he was part of actually kidnapping Paul for the barbed wire trap.
Absolutely.
And of course, when he first originally framed John with the pendulum trap, he showed emotion. I mean, obviously he's getting revenge for what happened to his sister, but he also showed emotion in watching that kill through the peephole. And then you sort of get this moment where he turns and the camera sort of, you know, shows him sort of almost, it's almost like he's not really sure if he liked what he did or not. You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting, but he's definitely got that depth. He's not just the killing machine. I know we'd like to think of the Hoffmanator.
Yeah, no,
as the Terminator,
definitely. No, I agree with you. I just feel like it's not touched on enough. Like,
no, yes.
You have obviously his trouble with alcohol as well before, like just after Angelina died. There's a lot more to his character than we've actually seen, and I feel like Saw 3D did not give him justice because it really did paint him out as just this killing machine. It was honestly like there was no emotion behind him whatsoever.
Yes, I think that Saw 11 will definitely serve as the movie that makes Hoffman a well-rounded character, just like Saw X did for John Kramer.
Exactly. I want the character study for
piece.
Hoffman, and even include Amanda in it as well, because although we did get a better look at her character in Saw X,
not enough.
I'd like a deeper one as well. I'd like to know more about her and why she feels like she owes her life to Jigsaw. I know it's a bit of Stockholm Syndrome, but a deeper look into these characters would be great.
Absolutely, and it would be a great film, really, if it was just about maybe even their relationship, but, you know, maybe sort of more reasons why they sort of don't get along.
Maybe even Mark attempting to sabotage Jigsaw earlier on, because we know that he's blackmailed into it. So if he tries to sabotage or make his way out of a bad situation earlier on,
there's a lot. I think that there's a lot they can work with here. So I honestly think it's a great idea for a sequel because there's so much to explore in this timeline. And obviously, as old fans, we want to see more in Amanda and more Hoffman. And as new fans, they can experience this for the first time as well. So very, very excited. And I think that moving on from that, it'll be so easy for them to somehow have a scene that does cut forward to show Hoffman then
even if it's
in
just
the
the
future.
end credit scene, like Saw X.
Well, just in some way at the end and gets us ready for that jump to the Saw 3D sequel.
I can definitely, like, we had this massive prediction that Hoffman would be shown alive at the end of Saw 10. Now I believe it'll be shown alive at the end of Saw 11, especially if this is a film that's going to center around Hoffman and his origin story.
Or at least set us up for the Saw 3D sequel.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like they already did that by showing him back in the bathroom again and literally showing us on screen that he has been in this bathroom more times than we've ever thought of. But yeah, this is definitely the film, Saw 11, that will set up and get us super excited for Saw 12, which will be the sequel to Saw 3D.
Yeah, and the more I think about it, the more I love it. Like the idea of making them at the same time or writing them at the same time so they can work together and branch to the future sequel. So smart, works so well. And it obviously gets our minds buzzing for what Saw 12 will be then. A story about the finalization
our theories
of Hoffman.
for Saw 11 and Saw 12 is a whole other video because I have my brain is running wild.
The Saw 12 stuff, having a sequel to Saw 3D finally, that's a pretty big one. It's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. Is Dr. Gordon coming back? I know we saw a few photos of why am I forgetting his name right now?
Of Carrie
Elways at the at some cons recently. He looks great.
Amazing. Yeah, he looks ready to go back on screen.
He literally looks like put him back on screen. Yeah. We want to see him as Dr. Gordon again. He looks better than ever.
He does.
So I'm ready for that.
I'm ready
to see if they'll bring him back.
I think there's a chance he can come back. I think there's actually a chance.
I definitely do now too. Yeah. Being the success of Saw 10. and seeing that he's doing cons again, he's interacting with Saw fans again. I think that there's a very strong chance they'll bring him back.
I think there is. Unless he really hates the producers of Saw. Like, unless there's just a hate that we don't know of going on behind the scenes.
I don't reckon.
He would, like, it would be so good. It'd be so good. And he could even come back. Honestly, he could come back for Saw 11 too. I mean, you know, get squeezed into some more of that
because
stuff.
he was around at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that if they do bring him back, they will save him for Saw 12. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a big finish.
Well, I mean, that's the real story, right?
Exactly.
The Hoffman versus Gordon, the Hoffman getting his revenge on Gordon, that's the movie.
It's going to do everything that Saw 3D did wrong. So it's going to bring back Dr. Gordon for the fan service. It's going to show us Hoffman and kill, because I know that people want Hoffman dead, unfortunately. It'll kill off Hoffman, but in a big way. So
I mean, it makes sense, though, considering what Saw 3D did, bringing back Gordon and you know, locking up Hoffman.
Yeah.
It sets up a Gordon versus Hoffman movie so well.
Yeah.
So well.
Yeah.
And that's like, if there was any storyline for a Saw 3D sequel, how is that not the best storyline watching them two go at it? And maybe they just end up killing each other, and that's the finalization of the saga.
All I can say is that if these leaks are correct, we are definitely set up for, I reckon, the next two Saw movies being some of the best in the entire franchise.
Yeah.
I don't even have to see the script yet to know that if this is what they're planning, they're going to be epic.
They're not going to drop the ball.
No.
You know, they've done very well with X, and you know, hopefully Kevin's back.
Yep.
I know he sounds like he's been.
He sounds like he's done.
He sounds like he's done lately.
I think that there's no one else I'd rather do the film. I think that I trust him with the Saw franchise.
He knows what we need.
Everyone else does. He knows exactly where to go with it. And although maybe he believes that Saw 10 really should have finished it all, the story is not finished.
No.
He has some work to do.
There's so much more.
Yeah.
On that note, guys, we would love to hear what you think about the idea of Saw 11 and 12 being made together.
Absolutely. What are your theories?
The ideas behind what these sequels are going to be. To us, they couldn't be better. I think that we're very happy.
I think they've done a very safe route.
They're giving us exactly what we want in the sequel to Saw 3D, and also the bridging movie to there as well. Some more prequel action, bringing back some of these old favorite
They should release
characters.
them at the same time so we can just do a double feature at the cinema. Just do
well,
it.
that's
Bang,
always a
bang.
stretch, but you know, maybe like 12 months is probably a reasonable amount of time in between. But yeah, very exciting. Let us know what you think, guys. If you believe in the theories and if you've got better ideas, we'd love to hear them in the comments, of course. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you next time, guys.